The main priority for fisheries under the Marine Biodiversity Scheme is the fostering of sustainable fishing activities and also the protection and restoration of aquatic resources and biodiversity.
So the Marine Biodiversity Scheme under the EMFAF programme helps to align the objectives of the Common Fisheries Policy with wider environmental directive objectives, such as those in the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, Natura 2000 and Habitats and Birds Directive.
The main actions to support fostering sustainable fisheries would include actions to share data and information to stakeholders, also actions to increase awareness in marine biodiversity, habitat loss and the impacts of climate change, and further actions then to ensure protection and restoration of habitats under the Habitats Directive.
Well, the EMFAF programme runs over 7 years, so that supports the industry and everybody involved in the industry, including our scientists, for 7 years. It provides security for everybody that's involved in the industry, but it gives 7 years of time to work on the different projects that are needed to make sure that we're sustainable, that we're doing the right things, moving in the right direction, and ensuring that there's biodiversity and there's sustainability is built into everything that we do.
The Deepwater Species Project began in 2019. In this project, the Marine Institute is assessing the distribution and the abundance of deepwater species. The abundance of deepwater species has declined considerably over the last 20 years. The abundance of the species, although recovering, will take time. This is due to their slow maturing and their long lifespan. This project, however, will provide a great baseline and survey time series, which will be used to assess the development of any future fishery in this area. The data collected on this survey includes, but is not limited to, abundance, size distribution, and also spatial and depth distribution of the deepwater species. As an ecosystem survey, it also includes any associated communities such as fish assemblages and epibenthos. This information is then used to assess the species and produce advice for sustainable management, both on a national level and on an international level as well.
So to support environmental and/or Natura compliance, the Marine Institute was involved in several projects funded by EMFAF. One I would single out for mention is the one using the continuous plankton recorder. And this is a device that has been deployed since the 1950s in Irish waters. But the EMFAF funding allowed us for the first time in some years to re-establish the survey in Irish waters that had fallen into abeyance through lack of funding for a number of years. So that gives you a very long-term index of the abundance of those microscopic creatures that are the very basis of our food webs. At the other end of the scale then, we engage in survey work on mammals and birds and other higher animals, higher trophic level animals, that is to say animals that are at the top of the food chain. So we had surveys of birds and mammals conducted on our routine surveys that we conduct on the Celtic Explorer, the pelagic fish surveys for mackerel, for blue whiting, for herring, for boarfish. And the scientists involved in those projects have made those surveys really a multidisciplinary platform which allowed us to use the EMFAF funding to add an extra layer of information we didn't have before.
There are a number of projects within the Marine Institute working on restoration and conservation. These include the native oyster, the spiny lobster, also known as the marine crayfish. These projects include the development of fishing techniques which protect against the capture of threatened and protected species such as seals, marine mammals, rays and some species of skate.
It has been shown that our Irish waters have got some of the rarest skates and rays in the North Atlantic are present here. Work we did on egg case surveys to show the mermaid's purses. So these skates lay little eggs that wash up on the beach sometimes, and this is where we use the general public to establish where the hotspots for these things are. And that work, funded by EMFAF, conducted by Marine Dimensions, showed that there are a number of places where we have hotspots of very, very rare species. These are some of the rarest animals that exist in Europe. So this was all funded through EMFAF and wouldn't have been possible otherwise.
Well, it's really important that we as stakeholders are involved in projects and that we are working hand in glove with the agencies such as the Marine Institute to look at different species, protected species such as elasmobranchs, sharks, dolphins, whales, everything that's swimming in our seas that could be affected by fishing, to avoid them, minimise our contact with them, to to make sure that they're still there and to help the biodiversity of our waters around the coastline.
It's great to take part because it's lovely to have input in this, and it gives us a great understanding of what's going on. And as fishermen, we wouldn't understand what would be going on a whole pile, but with working with the Marine Institute, it gives us a great intel of what is actually happening with their scientific studies.
Collaboration with industry is key in all of these projects. Where we succeed is where fishers, fisheries and scientists interact. That's where the fisheries are targeted, and that's what's really needed. These projects are really driven by the science, but also by the needs of the fishers themselves.
We fish in our areas, and it's great to understand our areas and to see what's going on underneath. And I suppose we wouldn't have an idea only for the scientific input from the Marine Institute, because it gives you an understanding of what the future, of how you can help with the future, and to see what's actually going on. Because without that, we won't have a future.
The outputs from the Marine Biodiversity Scheme help contribute to sustainable seafood production by helping to align the objectives between the environmental drivers and the Common Fisheries Policy.